Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30. We have a quorum. To start this meeting with a pledge of allegiance, please, would you stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gentlemen, have you read the minutes? Any corrections, additions?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as sent to us.
We have a motion to approve by Mr. Roberts. We have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. McGrath seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. The agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
First item being withdrawn.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as changed?
I'll make it.
Okay, moved by Mr. McGrath. A second, please. Mr. Roberts. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, now, this is a quasi-judicial meeting, which means that you have to be sworn in to participate. At this time, if you anticipate speaking, now, if you think you want to speak, get sworn in. You don't have to. We don't make anybody speak, but would appreciate if you would just be sworn in. Our attorney will do that for you. Thank you. Like I said, we have a quorum. It's generally a 5-member board, but any vote takes, even though there's only 3 people here, it takes 3 people to approve it. So just wanted to let you know that in advance. We're going to give the petitioner a chance to speak. If you're in opposition or have questions, you're allowed to speak, but only the petitioner gets to come back up when we ask him to speak. Now, if one of the board members would want you to reiterate something you'd said or needed additional information, he then can ask you to do this. But other than that, you do not get another opportunity. So with that, let's go to our first public hearing, D-21-18. That's one we're not going to do. So we're going to go to B, public hearing U-21-11. Jeff Brown, on behalf of Tim and Diane Weingrant, is seeking a use variance to allow an accessory dwelling unit on one parcel. The property is located at 5465 Lincoln Road in Green Township and is zoned ag. Thank you. Would you speak to us, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Jeff Brown, and again, I'm here on behalf of Tim and Diane Weingrant. We are looking to receive a variance to build an accessory dwelling for his mother, for Tim's mother, to live in. She's 93 years old, so they live in Florida right now. They'll be moving up here, building there on that lot, moving up here to that lot.
Gentlemen, any questions?
Who's moving here?
Tim and Diane, he and his mother, they all reside right now in Florida. So he sold his business in Florida, and they're retiring to Indiana. A little backwards, but
So the 3 of them are going to move here, and they need room for the mother.
Dwelling then.
it's one combined dwelling with in-laws quarters. It's attached to the house.
Okay.
It's all attached through the garage. So you
Yeah.
go to the left in the garage to the main house, and to the right out the garage into the carriage house by the in-laws quarters.
When do they anticipate doing this?
We are anticipating starting foundation next week, and I think their intent is to move here, I believe, in August of next year.
Thank you, Gentlemen, any other questions?
How many square feet are you getting into this thing?
I believe it's right at 4,000, just under 4,000.
Okay.
I know we had a picture of this plan here. Here we go. Well, thank you very much. Okay. Nothing else, gentlemen? Okay, thank you. Okay, the petitioners proposed finding of facts for a use variance. They have to meet 5 criteria. This approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because in-law quarters will be connected to the main home and will appear as one home from the outside. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including a variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because will still be used as a single family. Number 3, the need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved. Owner's mother is in her 80s and needs permanent care, currently not allowed by zoning. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought because owner's mother needs constant care. Number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the adopted comprehensive plan because residential use in a residential area. The drawing here showing everything that is going to be built in the area. It's 5.69 acres. Existing land use is basically residential. It's an Ag 1 district surrounded by ag, and the uses are primarily agriculture. They've owned this property since September and are relocating from Florida and applied for a permit to build a new home on the property. During the permit review process, the second dwelling unit was identified, which led to the petition being filed. We have a staff recommendation here. The accessory dwellings are not currently permitted in any use in a district, which means petitioner must seek a variance to establish additional living quarters. These types of requests have been very common, and review of the past meeting minutes revealed that the vast majority of these requests have been approved. It has been the staff's position that these accessory uses should be allowed by right as long as the accessory dwelling meets certain requirements. The newly drafted Unified Development Ordinance has made accessory dwelling units a permitted use as long as it meets specific criteria. The staff also believes the petitioner is satisfied the finding of facts for approval. For these reasons, staff support the petitioner's request for a use variance to allow the accessory dwelling to be constructed on its property. The health department has no objection to the proposed use variance. The existing septic system will likely be upgraded or a new system needed to be installed for the new accessory dwelling. The county survey recommends we'll need a ECP exemption at the time of the permitting. And that's all I have. Well, at this time, I will close the public hearing and enter into a public meeting. Gentlemen, questions?
I don't have any. I don't see a problem with it, where it's located and stuff.
Gordon, anything?
I don't see any problem with it either.
Harold? No. I don't either. It's at this time, we have no petitioners other than Mr. Brown. I would call for a motion.
Move we approve U-21-11. Making the addition on there, a separate, at 5465 Lincoln Road, Green Township, with the understanding that it will be brought into all the compliance and rules and regulations of the state and the county as far as the building and construction of it. believe the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and morals of the general welfare of the community because of the reasons stated in the petitions and finding the facts and the staff report. The use and the value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected and substantially adverse to the manner because of the reasons stated in the petitioner's finding the facts and the staff report. The need for the variance does, for some conditions, peculiar the property involved because of the statements of the petitioner's finding of the facts and the reasons stated in the staff report. The strict application in terms of the zoning ordinances will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property in which the variance is sought because of the reasons stated in the finding of the facts, petitioner's finding of the facts, and stated in the staff report. Approval will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive land plan used and adopted by Morgan County because of the reasons stated by the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Do we have a second to this?
I second that.
Mr. Crone seconds this. Any discussion, gentlemen?
None.
All in favor, signify with aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion passes. Good luck. Our next one is U-21-12, ROA Indianapolis LLC is requesting to change a sign in the overlay district. We have Michelle Knobbenberger. Thank you, Michelle. Tell us what, talk to us.
Sure. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our variance. Use variance for our grandfather billboard located on State Road 37 north in Martinsville, Indiana. My name is Michelle Knoppenberger, and I'm a real estate rep with Reagan Outdoor Advertising. We are here this evening to petition the board for a variance to allow Reagan Outdoor Advertising to relocate a billboard located along State Road 37 north, approximately 1,600 feet north of the Henderson Ford interchange in Green Township. The need to relocate the billboard is a direct result of the state of Indiana's Department of Transportation's I-69 Evansville to Indianapolis Road project, which necessitates the acquisition of right-of-way where the billboard was standing. As a direct result of NDOT's project, our billboard will need to be relocated approximately 50 feet northwest from where it was located. And Morgan County zoning ordinance in the I-69 corridor overlay district does not permit off-premise signage. And with no special exception to the Morgan County zoning ordinance to allow for the relocation of billboards, which are eligible for relocation by the state of Indiana, adjacent to state-funded road projects. This creates a unique situation where variance is required to relocate the billboard in accordance with the state of Indiana Department of Transportation's administrative rules and regulations. As for the structure rebuild, the grandfather structure had 4 10-foot 6-inch by 36-foot faces that were back-to-back on I-beams with lights, and the new structure will continue with the same 4 faces, 10 foot 6 inches by 36 feet, with lights on a monopole frame, and that's due to meeting the International Building Code wind load requirements and to make it more aesthetically pleasing. I did notice, as per the technical report, the Morgan County surveyor, Terry Brook, is requesting an erosion control plan at time of permitting, and if requested, we will supply this plan, although the erosion should be low impact since all we're doing is digging a hole to put a pole in it, and also with it being in the
Gentlemen, any questions?
What's the sign going to be made out of?
Steel.
Steel?
So it'd be a steel monopole, one-pole structure with 4 metal faces.
And what type of advertising would go on it?
It would be off-premise advertising. Could be local businesses or national businesses. I'm not exactly sure what we've had in the past in that area, but usually they're local businesses.
And it's going to have lights on it?
Yes, as the previous one did as well, yes.
I don't know, the previous one was kind of shabby looking.
I'm sorry?
Same type of lights as the previous one?
Yes, they're sign view Hall of Fame lights, I believe, is what we use.
It's not going to be one of these LED?
No, this is not an LED sign,
No.
not a digital display. It's just a static billboard face.
How many feet off of the road, the highway is it going to be?
I'm sorry?
How many feet off the highway is it going to be?
I believe usually from the right-of-way, it's about 15 feet from the right-of-way. And of course, since the right-of-way's moved from the I-69 expansion, it's quite a bit off of there. I'm not sure if we have a map on there to show location in the attachment. But generally, it's 15 feet from the new right-of-way is what we usually do.
Will the advertisers be on there for any length of time, or
Generally, our advertising contracts can last anywhere from 1 month to 3 years. Usually with our rural areas, a lot of our contracts are usually 1 year to 3 year contracts.
and what is it, like paste-on advertising? Like sheets of?
No, they're vinyls, actually. So they have vinyls printed, and then they just basically wrap it, kind of like a Christmas present almost, just wrap it around the face, the middle face.
Like a
with ratchet
canvas type
straps.
wrap? Like a canvas type wrap?
Yes, yes. And use ratchet straps on the back, so they're secured.
Are they going to have room along there somewhere in the top that says, "Welcome to Morgan County"?
What's that?
Are you going to have a sign on there that says, "Welcome to Morgan County"?
Not that I'm aware of.
Why not?
Yeah. I don't know if there'd be room, to be honest.
So
Usually
any
those
other
are on the
questions?
digital
We,
ones.
we've got to
Usually
look
they
out
have-
for Morgan County too.
Pardon me?
We have to look out for Morgan County
I
too.
completely understand where you're coming from, yeah.
So that'll be on this, for cars coming southbound, they'll see this sign? Is that right?
I'm sorry?
Cars, traffic coming south, that's the way the sign will be facing for
It's
southbound?
back to back, so you would see it
You're
from
going to see it both
Both
directions.
sides?
north and
Yeah.
south,
Okay.
correct, yes.
Okay.
So there's 2 faces, and it's top and bottom, is the way it's situated. And I think there's a couple pictures in here as well in the
You
application.
have pictures of various types of signs.
Correct, yes. This
Well-
was the previous sign that was up with the I-beams, the top and bottom faces, and they're back to back. And then this is what the monopole structures would look like when they're complete.
Well, I have no questions. Gentlemen, anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have nobody signed up in opposition or concerned citizens. So I'll go from a public hearing to a public meeting. And let me get here to all the proper paperwork. There's quite a bit of writing here. I don't know. I don't have to read all this fine print, do I? Or do you think I should? Yeah. Okay, this is a petitioner's proposed finding of fact for a use variance. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because allowing a billboard to replace in a different location will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, general welfare of the community because a billboard is currently existing on site and has existed for more than 20 years, and the general welfare of the community would be adversely impacted should the variance not be granted by requiring Morgan County tax dollars to be diverted from other public programs to pay for the taking of the billboard. Number 2, The use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the variance in question seeks to move the billboard approximately 50 feet from where it was located. Moving the location on the same parcel would not affect the value of the adjacent property since the billboard has been in existence. The need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved because the state of Indiana Department of Transportation is conducting a road expansion project along State Route 37, which necessitates the acquisition of the right-of-way where the billboard was standing. The unique nature of where the property is located, the prior existence of the billboard upon this property, and the fact that Morgan County does not have a special exception to the Morgan County zoning ordinance to allow for the relocation of billboards, which are eligible for location by the state of Indiana adjacent to state-funded road project, creates a unique situation where a variance is required to relocate the billboard in accordance with the state of Indiana's Department of Transportation administrative rules and regulations. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute unnecessary hardship if applied to the property from which the variance is sought because the need to relocate the billboard is a direct result of the state of Indiana's Department of Transportation's I-69 Evansville to Indianapolis road project. Strict application of the zoning ordinance will result in the loss of the billboard, and the cost of the taking would be shifted to the Morgan County pursuant to Indiana Code 8-23-20-25.6. The zoning ordinance places an unnecessary and unusual hardship on the application through no fault of the actions of the applicant. It is not further the intent of the zoning ordinance. Number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the adopted comprehensive plan because the comprehensive plan identifies the property as B3 commercial, which envisions future commercial use. Since billboards, parentheses, off-premise advertising signs are permitted use in the B3 district under the current Morgan County zoning ordinance, this variance request does not substantially interfere with the comprehensive plan. The variance request is quite long. It would take me a long time to read it. Basically says what the requester did. We have a series of pictures of different types of advertising signs like she indicated for our information. And pictures of the current. There's a map showing about the 50 feet that it's being moved. The staff report indicates that this Jerry Ennis owns this property, lives on New Harmony Road, allowed to locate an existing billboard in the I-69 corridor overlay district. Applicable 2-1 districts, I-69 corridor overlay district. It's technically East Weiscraft Lane in Green Township is where it's going to be. It's 27.975 acres. Its existing land use is agriculture. The current zoning is B3 and 69 corridor. There are no other related petitions. Really just looking to move it 50 feet. General character of the meeting area is agricultural and rural residential. The staff informed the petitioner that the Morgan County Plan Commission had previously taken a position that the billboards along the I-69 corridor impacted by the interstate construction project would be allowed to remain and or relocate out of the right-of-way without any additional board approval. This was reflected in the Plan Commission minutes from May 13th, 2019. This is the time the county adopted the I-69 corridor overlay, which prohibits billboard structures, even though there's a state statute that ensures that the signs can be relocated. Since the county was openly willing to allow the signs to be relocated, it is no longer a right-of-way. Petitioner Stoge defined for a use variance. The staff is in agreement with the petitioner's finding of facts and recommends approval to allow the billboard to be located 50 feet west of its present location so that it no longer encroaches in the state right-of-way. It also understood that due to new code requirements for billboard structures, it will be converted to a monopole support structure. County surveyor just says we need an erosion control plan. department has no objections to this sign being put up. Gentlemen, we're now in a public meeting. Any questions?
No, I have none. I don't see anything wrong with it.
That would open to a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion, we approve U-21-12. Based on the finding the facts here, the approval is item number 1. Will not be injurious to the public health and safety and the morals and general welfare of the community because of the reasons stated in the finding the facts in the staff report. 2, the value of the area adjacent to the property included with the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because of the reasons stated in the finding of the facts in the staff report. The need for the variance does arise from some conditions peculiar to the property involved because of the reasons stated in the staff report with the new rules and regulations. Strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property in which this variance is sought for because of the reasons stated in the staff report and the findings of the facts. The approval will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive land plan used for the adopted in Morgan County because of the reasons stated in the finding of the facts and petitioner's staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Do I have a second to his motion? Mr. McGrath seconds his motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Excuse me, your right hand. Excuse me. Motion passes unanimously. All set. Thank you for coming. Our next is public hearing U-21-13, Doug Wamper seeking a use variance to allow an accessory dwelling unit on one parcel. The property is located at 2300 Wampler Road, Green Township, and is zoned R1.
Currently a little over 3 acres. House exists, plus 2 full barns on the property currently. We're seeking to add a accessory dwelling unit to a family member here. Approximately 800 square
Tilt that microphone up a little bit, we'll be able to hear you a little better. Thank you.
too tall for this. Currently, the accessory dwelling unit we believe will be around 800 square feet.
You gonna build these below the hill or on the hill? You gonna build these where the ground breaks over, or are they gonna be right up in the front up there?
We're actually going to build something that is onto the side of one of the pole barns. Basically a park.
Thank you. Any questions, gentlemen?
Is somebody going to be living in this permanently, or is it just an add-on?
I believe it'll be more of an add-on. I don't think it's going to be a permanent residence.
Didn't you say it's 800, around 800 square feet?
Around 800, yes.
These will all be accessed off of your existing drive.
36 by 24, right?
Does it face the north or the west?
The front will face the east.
East?
Toward the east, yes.
When do you plan on starting this?
Most likely after the first of the year.
the map, but how close is this gonna be to the existing new house?
New house is probably 400 feet away.
Okay, goodly ways away then.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, I drive by that a lot. Do you have any other questions? Nothing else, gentlemen?
No.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wamper. We have proposed finding of facts for a use variance, and this is again 5 things that has to be met. The approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the accessory dwelling unit will add living capacity and does not impede or compromise surrounding properties. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the ADV will be of added value to the property and should increase value of surrounding properties. The need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved. The current zoning does not include adding an ADV to the property. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship applied to the property which the variance is sought because it will be used by a family member. This will allow us to provide care and stability to them. Number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the adopted comprehensive plan because adding it should conform to existing codes and provisions for land use. It's 3.167 acres. The existing land use is residential. The current zoning district is R1. Except for the petitioner's property, R1, the surrounding zoning is ag. From the agriculture and residential. This building will be 36 by 24 for a family member. Accessory dwellings are not currently in a permitted use in any district. This is under the staff recommendations, which means the petitioner must seek a variance for a second dwelling when there is already a primary resident on the property. It has been the staff's position that the accessory use should be allowed by right as long as the accessory dwelling meets certain requirements. The newly drafted Unified Development Ordinance has made the accessory dwellings units a permitted use as long as it meets specific criteria. Staff also believes the petitioner is satisfied defining the facts for approval. For these reasons, the staff supports the petitioner's request for the use variance to allow for an accessory dwelling to be constructed on this property. Under the technical reports, the county surveyor will need a exemption at the time, ECP exemption at the time of the permitting. And the health department has no objections to the proposed use variance. The second dwelling will require a new septic system. Gentlemen, any comments?
I have none.
This time I'll accept a motion to approve or deny.
I think its location and everything is gonna hurt anything.
There's a fire station, a school, and a market garden there.
Beg your pardon?
School, a fire station, a grade school, a church on the other side of the road, a farm market, that's really about it, and houses.
What I'm saying, there's nothing really be an obstacle.
It's been in the family for a lot of years. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve or deny?
move we approve petition U-21-13 for the property located at 2395 Wilbur Road in Jefferson Township. The approval will not be injurious to the public health and safety and morals and general welfare of the community because of the reasons stated in the finding, the facts, and the staff report. The use and value of the adjacent property included in the variance will not be affected substantially in an adverse manner because finding of the facts and then the staff report. The need for the variance does not arise from the conditions peculiar to the property involved of the reasons of the finding of the facts and the staff report. Strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is being sought. For the reasons stating and finding the facts, and approval will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive land plan adopted by the Morgan County because of the reasons of the finding of the facts and the staff report. Oh, yeah.
A second on that motion?
Second.
Crone seconds that motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Good luck. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is U-21-14. This is an application for a use variance. Robert Arnold and Brian Parsons are seeking to use a variance to allow an accessory dwelling unit on one parcel. The property is located at 2395 Wilbur Road in Jefferson Township and is zoned ag. I have two people to speak on this. The first one is Brian Parsons. Good evening. You want to tell us why we should approve this?
Yes, I am trying to get this variance for a mobile home for the property. My grandparents, I'm there now, staying on the property in a travel trailer. And their house originally has burnt down here within the last 3 months. And we're trying to get this all put back together, but I help take care of them, take care of the property, and they're 89 years old, so that's pretty much the reason why I'm asking to have something put on the property.
Gentlemen, questions?
How big a unit is this gonna be?
No more than 1,000 square feet, so probably a 14 by 60 or a 14 by 70 at the most.
You do not have the unit yet, right?
No, no, sir.
You realize you have to have a second septic system put in.
We already have one.
What kind of water do you have there? I have no questions. I would like to have Mrs. Parker, under the staff recommendations, talk to us about what she's put on down here. And I'll call you back up.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Got quite a list of conditions. Chris?
So the first one is just for clarification to ensure that this accessory dwelling will be the one occupied by Mr. Parsons, who was here. Since the fire, there's been a lot of back and forth between the reconstruction of the house. Was it going to be, were they going to use a mobile home? Were they going to stick build it? And it has gone back and forth quite a bit. So I wanted to make sure we were clear on the record that this is the manufactured home that Mr. Parsons will be living in. And it will replace the camper that's on the property. Because that camper's been there for over a year, illegally. But because of the circumstances, this is why it's come forward as a variance request. So it's not a problem to have a second dwelling on site as long as we're clear about what those circumstances need to be. Number two was talking about the square footage. Obviously, you've already asked the question on the size of that. It was still unknown to us as of the writing of this report. So just trying to understand that, is it going to be 800 square feet or 1,000 or 1,500? But it sounds like it's going to be around 1,000 square feet. The third one was if it's allowed to be on there and if it's in the same size as the primary dwelling, then that manufactured home has to meet the setbacks. Because basically, it's not an accessory structure if it's the same size. So it should also have to meet the requirements, setback requirements for a principal structure, just like the primary home does. Unless, of course, you don't want to include that condition. If that doesn't matter to you, that's fine. You can let them place it wherever you wish. But let's be clear, we're going to apply either primary setbacks to it or accessory structure setbacks. Number four was that the Board of Health approves that separate septic system. I believe the system that's there now was for a prior mobile home, so we just want to make sure the Board of Health will approve that new system, and we make that a contingency. Obviously, we wouldn't be issuing the building permit for that new structure without that letter from the Board of Health, but I like to go on the record, make sure we're all clear on what's required, and that new septic, that the new structure can be supported on that old septic system. The fifth point that I wanted to make was that the camper that's currently being utilized for living on the property will be taken out of service as soon as that new mobile home or manufactured home is brought in, and that it is being relocated so that it's no longer in a position where it can continue to be used for a permanent dwelling. And then the last one was that they not have a second driveway installed that they share, because that is a curve. It's kind of hazardous, so we want to make sure we've only got one access point for the property. So those were the 6 items that I was recommending.
Are you speaking of a minimum size for the second dwelling, knowing that the major dwelling will be 950 feet or more?
So if the secondary dwelling was going to be equivalent in size to the primary structure, the new house that they're going to build, then that's 2 primary structures on the same site. Again, I don't necessarily have any heartburn about that, but I want to be clear on what the setbacks are.
Do you have any requirements on minimum size for this accessory building?
Normally, it should be accessory, meaning smaller and less than half the size of the primary structure. We have had some in the past, though, in some of these accessory structures that have been larger, and that's okay. If you're going to approve that, that's fine. We just want to be clear. We're going to apply principal setbacks if it's equivalent in size. We're going to apply accessory structure setbacks if it's smaller.
Gentlemen, any questions?
The young man's gonna live there until he gets it done though, right? In the camper?
Well, it
Camper or
depends.
or the mobile home. he's moving
Yeah,
in.
or whatever it is, camper, motor home, or whatever.
Yeah, I believe he's residing there now. There's no other structure on the property.
What's
So-
best is there so you kind of oversee what goes on and make sure everything kosher is what it's supposed to be,
Normally.
way
we-
I think.
Right. And normally we allow you to live in a camper while a house is being constructed
Okay.
as a temporary use. But because they want to bring in another manufactured home and leave them both on the site permanently, that's what requires the variance request. If he was just going to stay in the camper and then once the new house was built, the camper goes away, there wouldn't be a need for the variance because we have a mechanism for that.
Right.
It's only when you want to leave it there permanently and have two dwellings ongoing that it requires this approval at this time.
So with these requirements being met, basically support this request.
Yes. Again, I'm a strong proponent of accessory dwellings being a permitted use. This one just was a little bit outside of the normal parameters. But I think if these conditions are met, I'm in support of approving the request.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Not for her, I do have a question for him
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Parker.
about the size of the main dwelling.
Brian, would you like to step back up?
How big is this main dwelling gonna be?
The main dwelling is a 24 by 40 is the main dwelling, which is just under 1,000 square feet. And that's on the main house that we're rebuilding. The foundation, we've almost got done now, so. And as far as the mobile home that I'm wanting to move in, I can keep it at a minimum or a maximum and just keep it like an 840 square feet at the biggest, if that would help anything.
Are you aware of all these 6 things that she has down there?
Yes, sir.
Are you prepared to meet them?
Yes, I am.
Gentlemen, questions?
No, I have nothing.
No questions. Thank you very much for your.
Thank you.
Is that Hunt? Kenneth Hunt, would you care to speak? Mr. Hunt, would he signed up to speak? Would step forward, please. Thank you.
My name is Kenneth Hunt, and I've been a neighbor to Bob Arnold for about 60 years. And I wish to thank Morgan County for allowing me to speak in behalf of Bob Arnold and Brian Parsons. Brian Parsons is his grandson. So I don't hear well. I'm 90 plus. And sometimes I get hung up on a word that I'm trying to think of. So if it's all right with you all, I'll just read what I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're not 90 years
this
old, but we get hung
request-
up too.
For an accessory dwelling is about aging in place and is what most of us old people want to do. But as we get older, there is lots of things we need help doing or can't do anymore to maintain our homestead. that's a big reason for this request for the second home. Brian and his wife Jasmine are workers. I see them across the road all the time, they make work look like it's fun. So I had to try it, and I only ended up with lots of aches and pains. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How old did you say you were? How old are you?
I'm 70, everybody's not 70, 90 years old.
Something for me to look forward to.
Thanks again. Close the public hearing, open a public meeting to this. Petition U-21-14. Got a request to put some stipulations if we approve it. Any discussion?
No, only thing I see out of the staff recommendations on that item number 2, I think we should put the 840 square foot minimum in on item number 2. That will be a 14 by 60 unit.
Standard is what I think he indicated he was gonna have, yeah. You can live with that.
24 by 80, 40, wasn't it?
That's the main house.
Huh?
The main house is gonna be that big.
Oh.
That would be the main house.
Gentlemen, any other discussion? It strikes me as a logical thing to do. Accept a motion at this time. Fred, are you working on that?
Beg your pardon?
Are you working on that motion?
Yep. Just trying to figure out
Put the
how
heat on you.
we're gonna put on.
Okay, well, wait a minute
Yeah.
then.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve petition number U-21-14. I think it's 14, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 14, yeah. At 2395 Wilbur Road in Jefferson Township. Item number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health and safety and morals of the general welfare of the community. Stated in the finding of the facts in the staff report. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner because of the finding of the facts and what stated in the staff report. The need for the variance does arise from some conditions peculiar to the property involved because of the finding of the facts stated with the petitioner and the staff report. The strict application in terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property in which the variance is sought because of the finding of the facts in the staff report. Your approval will not interfere substantially with a comprehensive plan adopted in Morgan County because of the petition, finding of the facts in the staff report. The following conditions will be included in this thing to be added to this approval. This variance will be as follows. This approval is for accessory dwelling that will be occupied by the petitioner's grandson only. Because no specific square foot was indicated in the things, the Board of Zoning Appeals would like to apply a minimum of 840 square feet for the second dwelling. If the second dwelling is allowed to be similar or equal in size, which is similarities to it, the primary dwelling, then the replacement of the second dwelling shall meet the standards minimum setback requirements for the primary dwelling. This approval is contingent on the Board of Health approving the septic system for the second dwelling. The camper or second dwelling that is currently utilized in the living is taken out of service immediately upon the arrival and moving into the new dwelling and moved elsewhere on the property, out of the view of the road and of the use of dwelling. One single driveway will be used for the two dwellings. One single driveway will use for this dwellings and will be only access to Wilbur Road. If these conditions are not met, the staff and support petitioner request of this variance will allow the accessory dwelling to be constructed on this property.
I'll ask for a second, then before calling for a motion, I will read the petitioner's proposed finding of facts. Do I have a second? Question here, I don't know, on your 840, that would be a minimum size, not a maximum size.
Minimum size.
Be no maximum. If it's bigger than the other,
You want it to be smaller than the main ones.
yes,
It's
the
smaller
other one,
than
the
the
other one,
same
and the other
Yeah,
one's
so you want
9, and the other
840
one's,
to be the maximum size.
the other one's over 900.
And the maximum.
Yeah, you want it to be the maximum.
Minimum, maximum.
Okay, this is the petitioner's finding of facts. Again, 5 items here. The approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because this will be my home and I will be living in it along with my wife and baby. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because there will be a newer mobile home on the property and it will not affect the value of the properties around me. Number 3, the need for the variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved because the reason for the variance is because I am helping take care of the property and be there to help my grandparents. Number 4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property which the variance is sought because property is not zoned for 2 dwellings. And number 5, the approval does not interfere substantially with the adopted comprehensive plan because this is a residential neighborhood. It's zoned ag presently. The health department has no objections for the proposed variance. The second dwelling will require a new septic system.
You said it'd be just for him.
And the county surveyor says erosion control and drainage plan will be needed at the time of permitting. Gentlemen, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Thank you. Motion passes 4-0. Good luck.
The new dwelling is for the
Young attorney, do you have a report to give?
secondary dwelling.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Laura, do you have anything for us?
This is for the old man and the grandson.
Okay. Thank you, Laura.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir, for showing up.
Big thing, as long as it doesn't fall on a Tuesday with several of us here on a different board.
I suggested we have the meeting at Bynum's next month.
Well, I think you better speak into the microphone if you're gonna say it then. I don't think Laura probably will tell us that she has it in her budget. It's a great excuse since we don't know what her budget is.
Keep this. Say we can keep this copy?
I got a 3-ring binder at home.
Have, everybody have a great Thanksgiving.
Yep. Safe, be safe.
Always do.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion adjourned, second. Behave yourself.